Hi there, this is Lisa Coppola. I'm a New York licensed attorney here at the Coppola Firm. This is part of our Business Basics series, where we're talking about practical information that entrepreneurs and business owners need to know. Now, today we're going to talk about forming a business as an LLC, a limited liability company. I'm talking about that from the perspective of a New York licensed attorney, because that's where I practice law. And if you're going to form your company, your LLC, in a state other than New York, you should make sure to check the laws in those states and have good guidance from an attorney who is knowledgeable about those states' laws. Here in New York, in order to file or form an LLC, it is a very easy process. We attorneys do it very, very frequently through what's called the Department of State, or the Secretary of State's office, located in Albany, New York. The first step is that we make sure the name that our client wants is readily available. Oftentimes, not only do we check here in New York at the Secretary of State, but it's wise to check at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to make sure that the name our client wants isn't trademarked by someone else. That's particularly true if our client is going to sell widely throughout the country or is going to be a primarily online business. They don't want to use a name for their business that could infringe on another company or another person's trademark. So once we know that the name works, and note, for professionals of certain types of licenses, we might also need the consent of the New York State Education Department. But in a general sense, we go online to the Secretary of State and we provide the information that the state requires, and we form that LLC. The next step is that there is publication of the notice that this LLC is now in existence. That publication here in New York must be provided in 2 newspapers, one a daily newspaper and the other a weekly newspaper, and it must run for 6 successive weeks. Try saying that fast a few times. Once that publication is done over 6 weeks, the newspaper sends back an affidavit swearing that that publication took place. And then that ad or that notice, together with the affidavit, gets filed at the Secretary of State's office. But the moment that LLC is formed, our client can begin to operate her business. There are a few other legalities that should be undertaken in forming an LLC, including the drafting of an operating agreement. And that's the company's Bible, so to speak, that identifies the powers of the owners and their rights and responsibilities. Of course, there are other steps that we've talked about in this Business Basics series, like obtaining an EIN and opening a bank account, and many other things that businesses do when they start off. But I wanted to make sure you had a good understanding of how to form an LLC, a limited liability company, because many, many new businesses are formed these days as an LLC because of the broad and varied operations that LLCs may undertake. Thank you so much for being with me today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.